Hello Pauper people, this is EPA 72 with a new video about wolves. I apologize for my voice once again, but I'm homesick again. On the bright side, this gives me more time to play Magic online and therefore try to fix wolves. As some of you may know, excuse me, recently the Stampede was bugged on Magic Online. It theoretically works, but it allows you to pick only one of the cards, the creature cards you really reveal. So it's now basically a downgraded amount to nature or something like that. So it cannot be used. I tried a few iterations, but in the end I just decided to go on and try a very classical combo list, totally basing on winding ways for card draw, which is kind of ironic because for years I tried to create lists without using winding ways because I was hating way too much when I was losing due to the card putting key spells in the graveyard. I actually kind of succeeded in the last few months in a winding way free list, but now thanks to the bug we are forced to try to brew in the opposite way. So what we did is very simple. We try to maximize the number of creatures, both in main deck and sideboard, and I also try to have a kinda solid mana base, just to try to limit the mulligans, since we have less card draw. So in fact the changes were that I kept 13 forest, I went up to 4 generous hands, 2 additional 1/1 mana dorks, on top of the standard Tinderwall plus 2 Wall of Roots package that I was using recently. On top of that, I just added also a Vivian Grizzlies as additional card draw. So I play in this list both Vivian Grizzlies and Third Path Savant. Sideboard wise, since I want to have as many creatures as possible, and also due to the fact that recently there is slightly less black hate for acolytes. I wanted to try acolytes again, and that's the reason we have ever since Pilgrim in the main deck instead of Green Elves. Then I put a couple of flag bearers, uh, Cortez Monaro, which is aficionado in the Wolves Discord, suggested these as better with respect to flag bearer, the standard one, standard bearer. Mainly due to the additional toughness. So I want to try them. I am using them since about 4 or 5 leagues. I need to build the statistics to see if I like them or not. Then we have one Mirror Shell Crab, a sort of catch-all card. Then the standard 3 Healers of the Glade for Barn, 2 Moments Pieces for aggro decks. The only spell we have which is working along with Windy Ways. And then I went up to 3 Scattershot Archers due to the amount of fairies that we have seen around lately. So that's the list. We will see a full league. So let's go to match 1. Welcome back to match 1. We are against Meudeus. I played against them several times, but I don't know what they used to play. So we'll see. We are on the play. Our first hand is not exceptional, could be tried on the play since we have a reasonable starting mana base. Okay, they are most likely on Bogles since they put the Utopia Scroll on white. So now we know we have to go fast. We have part of the combo in hand. We have Orochi that could be useful, but it's a race. So now we will start developing our mana base a little more. They play Malevolent Rumble, and we see they play Crimson Acolyte main. They will most likely take that or Forest. They take the Forest, and they go aggro. It's important to notice they put the enchantment on a creature that we can interact with that could be useful or important in the late game. We draw a land, so we keep developing. And the land actually was drawn through Genocent. Here we grab the battlement because we have the Orochi. They start pumping the creature. And here we are in a typical situation against Bogles, which is they have a huge creature that hasn't yet trampled, which is one of the main problems for us. I didn't say it, but in general the matchup is favorable for us. We can lose only due to a very fast start from them with trample or run through. My rule is usually block always if you can when they don't have trample, and blocking with Shield Wall Sentinel is not too bad because we could need to recur it with Ripping the Graves later on. So I expect here to block. We do. So we will now keep developing. We are one card away to win. So the story for this game will be if they find a trample before we can find infinite mana. They keep making the creature big, even bigger. We keep jump blocking, obviously, since it's little. We are not super worried about their life total because I typically have won without much problem games against opponents up to 200 life points. Of course, it requires a lot of clicks. Here I play immediately the Invoker because one of the lines that we could try to use is to block and kill our own creature because in this way they don't gain life. This is something I will start doing if they go very high on life total, but not at the beginning because on the other hand I want to keep having as many defenders in play as possible. They keep making the creature ridiculously big, but they have only a land, and now they don't have anything in hand. Okay, here we draw a good card, and we have two choices. The first one is to start going aggro on Secret Door to find the kill condition. The other one is to being open to block, to jump block and kill our creature. Since they have just 93 life, I will start digging a little more. I usually prefer to go aggressive on winning than defensive on not losing. Here we select the mine dungeon because it's the fastest one to go through without a lot of mana, and because the second room will give us a 1/1 goblin that can be used to champ. The idea in this case would be to go to the first one, the Mad Mage one. I will show it. This one, because we could use Twisted Caverns, the third room, to block the creature from attacking. But we need more mana with respect to what we have presently, and we cannot do it every turn. So here we have an additional Axebane that we put down because we need just the infinite mana. We create the Goblin, and most likely we stop because we don't have much more mana. Here, luckily, they keep missing the Trample. Here we got a very useful Virion. We complete the dungeon. We just draw lands, so we keep digging. We find a windy way that should be very good for us. We create our Goblin, and we pass. Opponent is still all in. Here the life total is significantly high. And we kinda with with the windy way even we find 4 creatures. Here I should change plan and I should start blocking and killing my creature, but I probably didn't think about it at the moment anymore. I just was too focused on going next turn and activating the Twisted Cavern option. We find the drift, so we know next turn we will have infinite mana. They are at just 200 life, they will go to 260 or something next turn, something that I'm reasonably confident to be able to kill and have enough time for the rest of the match. We just use all the mana that we can. And here we have the problem. And we make the mistake of not killing our creatures. In this way, we now need to do 345 damages, and we have just slightly more than 18 minutes. It's I tried it because I really like to go frenzy on fast clicking, but I gave me a sort of time limit. I was going to spend about 5 minutes clicking like crazy, see where I am, and then conceding if I'm not able to win, because I can easily kill the creature, but then I still need a way to kill the opponent, and it's much more difficult for me to go through combat and do 345 damage than for them to find something to set up the other X-Proof creature they have. So now I start going crazy in trying to reduce the amount of life total of my opponents. So I will stop talking, I will just go faster for this turn. You will see the time go down about 5 minutes. I used the Orochi because it's one of the fastest way to get a lot of mana. So you see we are relatively fast doing the first 50 or something damages, because we could also tap all the other walls. Then we start creating the mana. I'm also trying to do the calculation. I see that I can basically do the good thing is that I can do multiple of 8 mana. That means I save a click each time. and I should be able to do something like 21 damages for iteration. But you see the time is going down. So I do it a little more, but then I expect in a few seconds to decide not to go on, because from this estimation we will kill him, but we will have something like 4 minutes maximum left for the other games. It's too risky. This is done since the matchup is favorable for us. I was uncertain, but it was too risky, in my opinion, to go on. Of course, if I hadn't forgotten about the possibility to kill the blocker the turn before, we would have easily won. But you know, I'm very good at doing mistakes. Let's go to game 2. Welcome back to game 2. The sideboard in this case was pretty easy. We just put in the 2 moment pieces and the 2 flag bearers and remove the 4 ends, which are the slowest cards we have. We are on the play. We have a marginal hand, because I really hate keeping one-landers that then rely on winding way for the second turn. On the other hand, it's not too terrible, and Bogles usually cannot, let's say, kill us for just keeping a one-lander. So I will probably take this hand, even though I know it's risky. Opponent mulligans to 5, which is good. We find more mana, which is also good, so we can start digging. And we get only the Thunder Bearer. Play it, and now we don't know exactly what they could do, so I start developing. I get an X-Beam. Play it, and then I will start. This attack was actually not a good play, but I realized it later on. They do keep playing creatures. Now we start drawing a lot of cards. We even have moments pieces big up. And they just concede. So indeed, Coalition Honor Guard helped us. So we are 1-1, which is quite typical in these, let's say, kind of fast matchups where the two decks don't interact very much. Opponent is in advantage though, because they can play first on the third game. So now we are on the draw. Let's see. This first hand is tricky. With this list, I typically keep all the good mana hands. Now here I have a good mana hands, which is also a slow one, but which is also one that is missing only one card to kill. So I might keep it or uh, shipping it back. I don't remember what I did. Let's see. We kept it. Opponent mulligans once again to 5. And they have the Bogle first turn. As always, we will keep drawing forest because Magic Online is like that. Instead, we find a good wall, and the opponent is on one land. So now I feel much more confident because we have an easy turn for kill. So in the end, we win the match with a lot of time to spare, mostly due to luck, because these two games opponents mulliganed a lot and we had a very good dance. while we probably missed the kill or the proper play game one. But as always, better lucky than good. 1-0, let's go to match 2. Welcome back to match 2. We are against Cotes. That is also a name that I recognize. I don't associate to anything in particular, but I have this feeling that I usually lose. So they are probably going to be on some tier 1 deck. We are on the draw. We mulligan the first hand. We will probably take this one, bottoming the drift, even though it's sketchy. Okay, we might be against our worst matchup, which is Affinity. We are. So now what we do is just we pretend they don't exist. This matchup is so lopsided for us. The win percentage, I will say, is between 20 to 25%, meaning we win one match every 4 or 5, probably less if we are against the very good players. So in the end, we just ignore it. We know we are going to lose. We need to be lucky to win. Um, the strategy is based on the fact that they are kind of slow because they have tapped length. So we go all in, trying to go as fast as possible. So for instance, in this case, I expect now to play Tinderwall and play Axebane immediately. No, I was slightly more conservative. Okay, so now this is a good tell. They tapped out. They didn't play a familiar, so now we can play multiple things. Given the situation, I keep the conservative line, and now I know they do not have any form of removal yet in hand. That means we have been lucky. In hand, we have several things. We might win if we find a way to get infinite mana. We have Tuck Tuck, which is pretty good. So we can do a lot of stuff. Of course, the plan will be to win now, but we need to draw well with Winding Way. And we don't, because we, let's say, optimistically remove 3 lands from the top of the deck, but we just get another Axebane. That's why we played Tuck Tuck before, because maybe we could chain big walls. Right now, what we can do is to play a lot of creatures to basically champ block. The question is only how many cards we keep in hand just in case of refurbished familiar, considering that we always have the possibility to return the forest to discard. Here I decided to play everything, which is probably a mistake. In fact, they immediately have the familiar. We lose our only land. But still they do not have anything. So here I need to block 2 of those because I lost already so many times to, the single galvanic blast. So the plan is to use all these tiny creatures to stay at 8 life. I start sacrificing Quirion Elves because we don't have mana. And I try to draw lands, which of course I don't. Right now, if they don't kill all of our creatures with some form of sweeper, which is not super easy, but of course, Clark Clan Shaman plus Toxin only requires 2 mana. We can block the familiar, we can chop, so we are not in a bad position. We would really like them to tap out. The plan is the same, remain at 8 life. They have another familiar. Now we are in a good position since we draw the land, so now we have to win. I will go fast to it. So we win game 1 against Affinity, basically going along the plan. That means being lucky. Game 2, we sided in only the 2 Crimson Acolytes for 2 generous cents. Again, we are aiming for speed, so Ant is the slowest card. We could, in theory, bring in also the Mirror Shed Club because it can stop one KCS activation, but in a world full of toxin analysis, this is not very probable anymore. So I just went to with the let's say, more traditional approach and trying to stick to the base plan of the deck. We are on the draw again. Again, this hand has good mana but is very slow. But as I mentioned before, I tend to keep good good mana hands. Probably this was probably too slow, but let's see what happens. We keep developing. We will remember to keep at least one land always in hand just for familiars. We find a crimson, which is good. So here we try to be mana efficient. So we first get the big wall, and then we wait to play the Axeman, but of course they have one of the only 2 ways to kill the Crimson. They also have Neil Spellbomb, so now we start trying to develop, but they have Galvanic, they have 8 cards. We are not going to save this in, I would say, 95% of the cases. The only thing is that they had only 2 lands, but we are way too behind. This is, I would say, a typical game against Affinity. They don't even need KCS. Let's go. Game 3, on the play for the first time. We had, of course I could not make it visible for long enough, a way too slow hand to do anything. So we mulliganed, and this one is slightly better because we can do some stuff turn 2. We will put down the third path savant. So we go Saruli, turn 1. Okay, here we have again the possibility of turn 2 Axebane that we will use. We are on the play, the plan is ignore them. It's super risky. because we need the second mana somehow. If they kill it, it will be a problem unless we draw a land. We kinda whiff again, but they do not kill our wall. Now we are in a very good situation, meaning if we find 1 mana, we win, because this is more for new user. We need the 7 mana for a witch blue to get and activate the feed from the realm. And we presently have 3 blue mana from Maxbane, 4 blue mana, but then only 2 green. So we need 1 additional mana somehow. Could be a wall, could be a land, could be a Quirion. We find land, so again, the plan works. Being lucky is the way to go. Actually, we could even think the strategy worked, because being so aggressive tends to maximize this kind of output. But of course, we were lucky they didn't kill our Axebane in 2 occasions. On the other hand, we weren't lucky with the Windy Way, getting 3 lands. So. The good news is we are 2-0 beating Grixis, which is by far our worst matchup. So let's go to match 3. Match 3, we are against Diaper Dandy. I think I never met this player before, so we don't know what to expect. We are on the draw. Good mana, reasonable starting hand, especially against red, which is the default option when I don't know the players. Opponent Mulligans. So we are against some version of Tron, so we should be heavily favored, except with stuff happening. You never know. Let's see how it goes. We basically are already close to the kill. They have Tron. We play the X-Wing. We don't know yet which kind of Tron they are. Okay, Forest. So they might be on Monster Tron, and they use this thing that I've never seen before to kill my X-Men. So basically, it's 7 mana, sorcery speed, destroy a permanent. Okay, so we need to rebuild. We cycle the end, and we will probably look for another X-Ray. As you might have seen, we need to look much more aggressively for Axebane in this version without lead the Stampede. Yeah, we are on a version of Monster Tron. Now we just play it safe, since we have Tuck Tuck. We hope they tap out, just in case they could have some form of interaction. Okay. They have Monarch, lots of life, but if we basically have the kill. It's very unlikely that they have anything to stop us. and from here on I go fast. But opponent concedes immediately. So we go to game 2. Game 2, we did not sideboard anything. We should be heavily favored. In case we lose this game, that can happen only if they have a very fast hand or we mulligan a lot. We might consider moments pieces. Okay, we mulligan. The second hand is okay. We will put down one of the Quirion Rangers. Opponent mulls to 5. Here we just develop mana. Maybe. Let's see if play works. Okay, opponent has a natural Tron into Monarch, which is not an issue since we don't care about their cards unless they are beaters. As always, when we keep 3 lands, we keep drawing lands. We have a reasonable hand, a reasonable finding with Windy Way, but they indeed have beaters. So we need to find the combo kill fast. Here we just block. Okay. Here we will block 2 of the creatures, but of course they will play another couple. Here we basically need to find something in the next draw step, or we are going to be dead. Here they find another bidder into another one. So indeed, I think we managed to lose from a mal to 5 on the play from opponent. And we do. We are 1 card short, which is exactly 1 Orochi color for the win. But they had the perfect hand against an average one from now for us. We go to game 3. Game 3, indeed, we did what I mentioned before the second game. We just swapped 2 hands for 2 moments pieces just in case. The aim is still to just combo faster. It is unlikely for them to be so fast and have such a perfect hand 2 games in a row. We mulligan to 5. The first one was a too slow hand, the second one has no lands. This one is much better because we have a turn 2 Axeman and good mana. We will probably put down both the Orochi and Reaping. We don't want to play the Alchemist just due to this possibility. We want to play our cards in our turn as much as possible. Because this thing works at Sorcery Speed. Here we get another Hackspin because most likely the first one will be killed. They do not kill it. So right now we are close to the win. We have infinite mana, but we cannot kill them, so we have to wait. They find Tron, they try to put some bitters on the field because this thing here is kinda useless at this point. So we now have probably around 25%, no sorry, yeah, 25% of wins just by drawing because we have 3 drifts, 4 winding ways, cards that draw our entire deck, 2 kill cards which are secret or invoker. So it's not unlikely for us to get a good draw. And we do. We get the infinite draw, so we win. It will take some time because we need to pump up mana, but the opponent is very kind and concedes immediately. See you in game in match 4. Match 4 against Mikan 251322. Another players I cannot easily recollect. We are once again on the draw. This is a very bad hand, so I presume we will ship it. This is a risky one. It's very good, but we need to draw one land. As I mentioned in the beginning, in the deck tech, this version should be kind of early mana heavy or lands heavy. So we will keep it and see how it fares. No land. Okay. Uh, the gate is a very good sign because after seeing Calden we could be against Bloodscale. Now we know that 99% of probability we are against the black-green Turbofog deck, which is not bad for us. It's worse than the original Turbofog, which was a buy for worse, but basically it relies only on 2 or 3 Crypt Rats for interaction, and Crypt Rats nowadays is a fair card, meaning they have to have actual mana to cast it and use it, in, you know, not like other sweepers that other decks have, and they don't draw too much. Especially they are nowadays less relying on the green artifact that puts land into play, which was a big problem for us because it allowed a much faster cryptonaut activation. Anyhow, we need to find the land. We miss once again, but we now know we have probably some time. We finally find the second land. Now we should start developing. And here we are very lucky because we fortuitously draw the kill, even though it's not super straightforward, but you will see it. Just need to balance the mana, and then we have everything in hand. It's important to be very cautious no green mana in these situations because it's very easy to make some clicking mistake and lose the game. I will go fast. We just go up to 5 defenders, so to 7 defenders, so we can have a one-click activation of Valakut Invoker every 2 cycles. It's the most efficient way. We win game 1. Game 2, we sideboarded in 3 cards, which are the 2 Obsidian Acolytes and the Mirror Shell Crab. In this matchup, the crab can be very important because their sweeper requires a lot of mana. So even though it's a one-shot thing, because it doesn't kill the crit rats, it could give us an extra turn, which is what we need to win. We sided out only 2 Gensus Hands. As always, they are the slowest card, and I prefer to play 61 than siding out something else. We have a reasonable hand. Opponent is very slow, so we can build without problem, so we will keep this well. They start with Campfire, we get an Elf, we keep developing our mana. Here we are most likely going for Axebane. As you see in this league, we often go Shieldwall Sentinel into Axebane because we really miss the leads the Stampede. And they immediately play out the Creep Rats. Now here we will just play the Axebane and force them to wipe the board because we still have a reasonable hand and we could draw something good. Indeed, we draw the possible best card. So we attack and we expect them to blow the board. Since they have only 2 or 3 rats and it's not super easy for them to recover them, it's fine for us to just accept 1 blow and then rebuild. Here again, we go aggressively for Axebane because we are not very far from the kill in terms of cards. Of course, we hope they do not have a fast second Cryptas, but we draw the sideboard card. Assuming they don't have the Cryptas now, we will then play the rest of the game, leaving open the Mirror Shell Crab activation. So they keep digging, and we are, I think, rat free now. So we just play the wall and pass. Here they have the second rats, but they play a kind of useless relic. Now, what we really hope is that they try to go for 4, because that will leave them with only 1 mana, which is most likely useless. And we could try to win the next turn. We will have to win the next turn, because the Clip Rats will survive. It is to be noticed that in this case, the crab is better than Tamiyo safekeeping, but it's worse than Wrapping Vigor or your temple is under attack. Especially the latter is very good, being tutorable, but in a windy way build I still prefer to have a creature. And they go for the wipe, then we will surprise them. It has to be noted that again we just need the one mana, one blue mana to win. We have everything in hand, but we have only 3 blue mana. So basically any low cost defender, Quirion Ranger, or Orochi, Leaf Collar will allow us to win. So we have a lot of outs. We get Windy Way, which is a reasonable one because we have 4 additional looks. And indeed we find both a land and a defender. So we just go for it. Opponent concedes immediately. So we go for 0 with an actual sideboard card mattering the outcome of the match. See you in the final match. Match 5 for the trophy. We are against Crazy Grey Hat, which again is not a name that I recognize. So I'm, really happy or lucky this league not to have faced multiple grinders. We are again on the draw, and the first hand has to be shipped back. Opponent is friendly, which is something that I really like. This is good. We will just bottom the Savant, which is the slowest card there, and the only one that we cannot cast. Okay, here they most likely are MonoU Faeries, and these should be favorable for us, especially since we have the 3 scattershot archers in the side, but you never know against fairies. Here we will start to develop. We try to minimize the plays into spell starter sprite, but we cannot wait too much, or we cannot not develop our mana. And is very good against them. And one of the good side is that their ninjas are usually a one shot, and therefore they have a very slow clock. Since they don't ninja, we will not play into spell starter with something important. But they seem to be aggressive, most likely they do have a ninja. They attack only with one creature, which is a little weird. They have a Moon Circuit Hacker. And presumably no land drops, which is good because this allows us to play in battle. This way we have 2 blockers for the ninja. Once again, we cannot block the flyers. Here we will we wanted to make them counter the Quirion, they didn't. And for some reason, which is a trivial mistake, they tried to spell starter the forecasting cost 1 that allow us to play the Axebane, which is not a problem. I mean, I make mistakes always. Everyone makes mistakes. Here is important. They are snapping our creature. They are tapped out for the moment. So what I will do is maximize my mana to do a very big Ripping the Graves, basically uh, putting all my graveyard back into my hand. I will presumably also play a Tuck if I can. In this way it will be really a strong position for me. So I calculate all the mana. You see I create the mana for Tuck plus the one for the Reaping. Now they counter the Vivian Grizzly, which for us is very okay. And now we do the plan. Tuck, Axebane, Transmute, and get back all my whole graveyard. Here we have most likely one next turn because they have limited mana. So we start playing stuff. We will now try to play a Galvanic Alchemist that will be countered. Then we go for the Freed because it's faster. We have the Grizzly in hand, so the kill is inevitable. I go fast. The Grizzly, we need to usually spend some iterations putting defenders into play and go always faster. We eventually find the drift for the invoker. We win game 1, so let's see how we fared in game 2. Game 2, we sided in the 3 Scattershot Archers and the 2 Flag Bearers, which is in this matchup are better to block ninjas, but of course slower. We sided out a few cards, kind of trimming things, and went to 61. So we sided out Tuck because it's very likely that they are going to side in multiple Blue Elemental Blast or Hydroblasts. We sided out one each of the one costing creature Tinderwall, which is not very useful in this case, and Avacyn Pilgrim. These or Orochi could more or less be the same. And one Windy Way, which it's not really used so often early in the game in this matchup. We are on the draw, and this hand is very questionable, and I really hope we shift it back. But we don't, so this is another good mistake. Especially doing exactly what I didn't want to do. That was having to rely on a turn 2 Windy Way. Opponent is not very patient though, so we have an opening. We draw a land, then we can play Windy Way. Here we drop one drift since we had the 3. So now we start playing the guessing game concerning possible spell starters. Opponent is very aggressive with snaps, and they have a very annoying card for us, which is this new enchantment, Unable to Scream, which is really a pain. Since the Orochi is useless, we just put it in front of the ninja, just to make them draw one less card. Here we will just try an Axebane, but they have the counter spell. And then we put the second Quirion because we can, and it's most likely going to be used for blocking. Indeed, we block. Opponent in this case seem to have a kind of land heavy hand, but 2 deep powers is hard for everyone. So here again we try the Axebane. And we are start losing space because we cannot efficiently block the ninjas and we are already to 8 life, so we need them to waste the counters. This turn is kind of critical, and I am not sure I played this turn and possibly the next one correctly. In this case we create a second blocker before playing also the overgrown battlement, that most likely one of the two will be counted. For some reason they attack only with 2, but they have yet another ninja. So we basically have to win now. If everything survives, we have quite a good amount of mana. So this will be used to bait a counter, since we don't have Tac anymore. And then we should do a proper play concerning uh, Reaping the Grave. And here, as I mentioned before, I mistapped, and I was forced to waste my black mana uh, before being able to play the Reaping. The plan was to play the Reaping, get the Quirion, and then play one Drift as a blocker, because we are dead to multiple ninjas or one spell starter and a ninja, etc. etc. But I mistapped, and so now I'm forced to just play a useless Axebane that is countered exactly as we were saying. Now we are dead if they have another ninja. So this game we kept a bad hand and we mistapped, which is not the best when playing for a trophy. As an excuse, I still am sick, so I was playing sick. Let's see the final game of the match. Final game for the league. In this case, I switched the Orochi for the Pilgrim, just to have on the play more fast mana and possibility for the Flag Bearer. A minor change, but it could be important on the play. We finally have a very good hand, so we are hopeful. We start with the scatter shot, and opponent has a binded monster. So here we just use the opportunity to get the Windy Way, and we find one of the cards that we needed, which was the Quirion Ranger. So it starts our dance around spell starter. We first do an Axebane that could actually, we have the killing end if this Axebane resolves. Here we try again the Axebane. But they have the terrible spell. So now we need to bait stuff. Uh, we are not in a bad position since they had to use quite a bit of resources already. And we will presumably have a scatter shot open next turn. And we have the rest of our hand is gas. Including the generous hand. It could be possible to be cast. They tap our archer, which is not an issue. Here we just keep developing mana. They have not a very strong board, and now we have the kill on board depending on what they do. They draw some card. They have a ninja. But this means that we can win assuming that they have not sided in annuls. Because we didn't see any annul before. I would expect them not to have sided them in. In any case, we have a backup with the drift to do some shenanigan. So we just go for the freed. And now that they don't have it, we can easily win even if they have an Hydroblast in hand. I will go fast. And finally, we have a trophy. Here I was looking for a backup just in case they had the Hydro, but they conceded. Very nice opponent, we chatted a little after. So we won a trophy. There is possibly some aftermath to consider for the deck. The list worked, but I was lucky in a few cases and didn't meet a lot of bad matchups. So I will probably keep it as it is and try more leagues. Thank you again for watching. Apologies again for the voice and the mistakes. And see you next time. Ciao.